Hello and welcome to this very interesting TED Talk today. Unfortunately, with everything happening in the world at the moment, we're unable to use the TED building, but I wanted to thank you for all joining in and just making sure you're all, washing your hands and staying safe at home. Now, so today we'll be talking about the ocean. Now, when we think about the ocean, we know that it's a very vast area. It covers about 70% of the Earth's surface, but we also know that we've only explored less than 5% of its total area. So creatures such as this one may occur in areas that haven't been yet explored, or creatures like this which have also recently been discovered. But we also know that there's been about a 39% decrease in all aquatic species within the last 40 years. And we know that humans have had a pretty severe impact on the ocean's environment. A lesser known fact is that in some areas marine mammals are suffocating. Yes, they actually cannot breathe underwater due to the process called eutrophication. Now, eutrophication may sound like a complex topic, but it's actually quite simple and is a naturally occurring phenomenon in waterways around the world. It can occur due to a number of physical characteristics of a system, such as hydrology, or biological interactions shifting, such as a shift in territories, or increased organic and inorganic nutrient loading, which can occur naturally as well. Although in the 20th to 21st century, human activities, such as clothing productions, or agriculture, such as this one here, use excess amount of chemicals, meaning that when these chemicals are taken and moved into the oceanic environment due to the storm or floods, waters, or water coming out of the pipes from factories as seen above, the environment can become overloaded with these chemicals. The chemicals that these factories produce are needed in the processes in the ocean, but they are very regulated, and thus excess amounts of these chemicals can produce an imbalance in the ecosystem. These chemicals are nitrogen and phosphorus, and they are key in respiration and other processes like carbon absorption. The ocean actually absorbs about 25% of the carbon released each year, about the same as the terrestrial environment. But too much of one of these chemicals can cause severe imbalances within the environment. Two key chemicals that I've previously spoken about are going to be the focus of this talk are nitrogen and phosphorus. These chemicals are key in oceanic processes such as carbon processing, abiotic respiration, but they also, as I said before, rely on an extremely balanced level of these two chemicals, with an overload of one of these chemicals causing a breakdown of these processes and leading to scenes like this. As you can see in this image above, one of the key symptoms of eutrophication within an area is when these chemicals become so overloaded in this environment that they produce too much biomass or lead to the production of too much biomass by the algal species present. So this means that a lot of the spare chemicals that they are able to access, they actually use for biomass production and increase their production to excessive amounts, which can overload the ecosystem. So doesn't this mean that they get more chemicals? Isn't that better that there's more algae present? Well, not always. And as I've said previously, everything has to be extremely balanced, especially in the aquatic ecosystem, for the natural processing to occur. Furthermore, algal blooms aren't the only major threat to the oceanic ecosystem. Hypoxia is another key threat to the environment due to eutrophication, and it occurs when the depletion of oxygen supply in the waterway leads to mass fish kills such as this. So algal blooms and hypoxia can cause extremely harmful economic effects as well to key fisheries, and can be harmful to humans if consumed. So eutrophication can also quickly just affect the water supply and degrade natural and recreational water use opportunities as well. So there are some other main effects of eutrophication, not just these two, but these are the most threatening to humans. So the estimated cost and damage mediated by eutrophication in the US alone is about $2.2 billion each year, and rates due to enhanced stratification, decreased oxygen solubility, increased metabolism and remineralization zones, and increased production of organic matter due to human activities will increase about 50% over the next 20 years, according to scientists' predictions. So areas like this may soon look like areas such as this. So what can we actually do, and what's being done about this issue? Well, three main strategies have been key to combating eutrophication, and one of those is biomanipulation. So it's a form of biological engineering in which manipulations of the biota present are used to reduce objectionable algal types and biomass to supplant reductions of nutrient loading. So they reduce the number of species present in the ecosystem that causes a threat. So threatening algae or algae that can produce excess amounts of biomass using these nutrients, and they reduce that by adding different species or just reducing the overall algae count, which has been successful, especially in Moe Pond in Otsego County, New York, in which they made an artificial impoundment created by damming of a natural wetland, and that allowed less algae in, which meant the eutrophication was subdued and they were able to successfully manage that area. But this solution may not be useful for every occurrence, and it may be difficult in third world countries or countries which don't have the access to the technology we have today. And also waterways are different, so one waterway may have different algae species and everything, so it can't be just taken and used in different areas. Secondly, just further research. In order to save aquatic ecosystems, further research on eutrophication and its effects should be undertaken, such as Dr. Gang Pan. He and a group at a university in the UK used an oxygen nanobubble technique to mitigate hypoxia and anoxia. It did provide a potentially promising principle to tackle dead zones, but may be expensive and takes time to get underway and through all the procedures that need to be done in order to be able to commercially sell it. Lastly, a lot of small green companies are taking hold and occurring throughout the world, such as Netherlands-based water treatment specialist Aquacare and a German company Terra Nova, and the Australian-based Calix. And I was able to get in touch with the Calix CEO to answer some questions I had about eutrophication and why they decided to tackle this issue. So he responded saying that they make some interesting materials based on magnesium that are safe for the environment. They can also absorb some substances, such as phosphates and nitrates into water in soluble form called magnesium ammonium phosphate. So they started using the magnesium product for alkalinity in wastewater treatment, but soon noticed that this extra benefit was taking hold and that it was able to reduce phosphates and nitrates in the liquid discharge of these systems. And they found that sequestered in a large sludge type or affected areas in systems, they were able to effectively and adding these non-soluble phosphates and nitrates fertilizer into the land, they were able to reduce the occurrence of nitrates and phosphates in the water and making typically more water-soluble outputs. That meant that they were able to target applications that could help with problems such as this, and they are now looking beyond simply wastewater treatment at the moment to implement more strategies to tackle these issues. And they believe that their solution is already viable, and customers who value their product are paying for it and have noticed these effects. However, many potential customers are yet to use it, as they are driven by low cost to achieve minimum environmental standards. So they would hope that maybe with more environmental interest and impact, they're able to maybe focus on bigger companies or larger assets, so that this technology could be spread, to a wider audience. So in conclusion, I hope I've given some insight into the major issues that eutrophication poses to the waterways that we have today, and how given demand for the water and crops is going to expand with the increasing population, that means that it is one of the most pressing issues of today, and how some examples of the ways we can tackle this, and how the human race is able to adapt and find innovative solutions to this key issue, and how when it's vital that we can work together in order to manage and protect the vital resources that we have. Thank you.